Power Miners just had to be one of the most loved themes of the late 2000s. But like so many other great LEGO themes before it, all good things must come to an end, and Power Miners faced its last and final wave at the start of 2010 with this lineup of 4 sets. Let's take a closer look. As happened with a number of themes during this era, the last wave stands out significantly from the other sets produced in this line. I don't try to pretend to understand all the inner workings of the LEGO group, but this seems like a last-ditch effort to revitalize the theme. We saw this with Mars Mission and Atlantis, which underwent a very similar thing to what happened here. A redesigned color scheme, new location, and new enemies. And perhaps I'm getting into this way too early, but I can't help but feel that reboot never seems to recapture the magic of the original sets. However, LEGO's done a lot of really good things with these 4 sets that are totally noteworthy. So I mentioned that there's a different location. For the Power Miners, this means they have dug yet deeper into the earth. Things are starting to heat up, quite literally, where they are exposed to a lot more volcanic activity. Instead of a lot more mining gear that we saw in the first 2 waves, they've substituted that for squirt guns, effectively. The idea is that they want to extinguish these lava monsters before they become too powerful. And so you'll see everything here has some sort of extinguishing device. And the play features that are brought up in these 4 sets are on par, definitely, with what came before. The first and smallest set of the wave is 8188 Fire Blaster. This little guy has 67 pieces, would have retailed for $10 back in the day. If you want to pick one up new, you're going to look to shell out about $60, but a used one is still just about $10 today. This one comes with 2 minifigures. Both we're seeing here for the first time. Actually, both are exclusive to this set. So we get Rex in this new gear, and the gear is fantastic. I think this is one of the biggest improvements this wave makes on the previous 2. He's all done up in silver with silver printing on his torso and legs. The familiar helmet design that we saw earlier, this time also done up with a drum lacquered silver paint, and he's got a visor piece which looks fantastic. If I'm not mistaken, that remains exclusive to the Power Miners theme to this day. Another pretty substantial redesign has happened with the rock monsters. Of course, these are lava monsters this time around. They're using the same body and arms, but the head is a brand new mold. And we're seeing much different printing. So the previous wave obviously had dark bluish gray paint applied. This time we have black paint and black arms. And in this guy's case, this is Combustix, he is done up in trans yellow, and of course there was no trans yellow rock monster. Unlike the opaque heads of the rock monsters, these guys actually get transparent heads too, which really sells that on fire look. Rock monsters, lava monsters, I love them all. One unfortunate and interesting thing here, and again, I don't know exactly why this is, you'll see that Combustix has a trans neon green crystal instead of a yellow crystal. Yet there are some official photos of the set that clearly have a trans yellow crystal. Was that ditched at the last second? Because, again, I don't believe the trans yellow crystal exists to this day. There are obviously plans at some point to introduce it, but it didn't happen. I suppose having the trans neon green crystal makes it a little more consistent with the waves that happened before, but it is interesting. The vehicle here is pretty simple. There's a lot of familiar Power Miners aspects going on, right? We got the roll cage that appeared in almost every other Power Miner set previously. We have the dynamite. As you can see, it's attached here to a flick fire missile. It's a little hard to flick, actually, because there's a big tub of water in the back. The idea here is that this hose can actually be removed and held by our Power Miner to extinguish Combustix here, and also attaches nicely on the vehicle. There's a few stickers dotted around. The number 12 for the 12th vehicle in the Power Miner series. You'll note that they skip over 13, which I think is kind of funny. There is no room for a set number 13 within the product line. We go straight from set number 8188 to 8189. So they just decided not to do a 13 because of superstition, I guess. It's a simple build. I like small sets. To get the both exclusive figures here is pretty sweet too. Up next is Magma Mech, not to be confused with Magma Mech from Wave 1. This one is, I don't know what it is about this set, but this set is everywhere. I have 3 copies of this set, 2 of which just came from bulk lots. And this set is by far the cheapest to get on the aftermarket used now. But anyway, I'm getting way ahead of myself, as usual. Set number is 8189. This is vehicle 14 in the Power Miners lineup. This bad boy has 183 pieces, would have retailed for $19.99 back in 2010. Again, if you want this thing new, you only have to pay $50, which is less than what it cost to get a new copy of the smaller set. According to my notes, it's actually $14 to pick this thing up used, which is insane. We might as well look at the figures right away. There is a subtle change in the Power Miner's costume here. This is just a generic engineer, but he's got this additional armor plate, which is super cool. This is actually exclusive to the Power Miners theme. It only comes in one other set, which is Clawcatcher, the set we'll look at next. Again, it's got that drum lacquered silver finish on it, which is fantastic. And then we're seeing Fire Axe for the first time. Very similar to Fire Axe, but this time the Lava Monster version of the Trans Orange Rock Monster. He is not exclusive to the set. He also comes with the largest set of the wave, which we'll take a look at in a bit. I mean, the Trans Orange color scheme is nothing short of perfect for a lava monster. There's not much more to say about him. It's very similar to Combustix, who we saw last time, but I really love the black paint on the Trans Orange. That works really well. Mechs in the Power Miners universe don't make a whole lot of sense to me, but as far as mechs go, this one is done pretty dang well. It's bulky for a $20 set for 183 pieces. And I think the most fascinating thing about this set are the number of rare pieces in it, which I do have to talk about. Maybe I'll hold off just a second for your sake to address the play features here. Obviously, you have some articulation. There's no knee articulation, but you have ball joints for the feet and ratcheting joints at the hips. Same with the arms. The arms are very short, but both have interesting functions. So one is a claw that extends on a quite fun mechanism and folds up pretty easily. The idea, I guess, is that you could catch a monster with this, but holy crap. I struggle to believe that's actually possible. You can knock him over, that's pretty good. Regardless, that's just fun stuff. So there's something to be said for that. On the other side is just a very oversized squirt gun. He's got a brick-built roll cage, which is pretty fun, and a very interesting cockpit, featuring these tread pieces in that drum lacquered silver color. And that's actually exclusive to this set. They made these tread pieces for a cockpit, and they're exclusive to this set. It's so weird. Speaking of pieces exclusive to the set, the familiar drill piece, which we saw in the other waves of Power Miners, is done here in blue. And apparently this piece is also exclusive, for what that's worth. I usually don't even look at the Technic stuff because I just assume it comes in some Technic set I don't know about. But sure enough, that one is exclusive in blue. But yeah, that's about the extent of this one. What a strange looking cockpit. It's good for sure, but it's like the weirdest pieces went into making that. You'll see flick fire missiles here, but they do not fire. This one is interesting, but overall it looks good, and that's what matters. And it's fun because of this thing. And that brings us to 8190 Claw Grabber. This one is pretty special to me, honestly, because this is the one I did not have as a kid. I just bought it a few months ago for $28 or something, which is super exciting to me because this thing would have actually retailed for $34.99 back in the day. Just never got my hands on it. I mean, I was pretty young, wasn't exactly making bank like we are today. The reason I wanted this more than anything else was for the one missing rock monster / lava monster from my collection, Infernox. So he's done up in a trans red with a red crystal. Again, a pretty good color combination. Not as much contrast as you get with the Trans Orange, but still really great. And now that I have him, I'm a happier person for it. But little did I realize when I primarily got this set for this lava monster, I got a pretty cool set along with it too. So I was familiar with the gimmick of this set. Judging by the name and the appearance, you probably figured it out too. It's supposed to grab the rock monster, right? And then it's gonna toss it. And what blew my mind is this actually works. That worked on the first try. This thing is so cool. I'm giddy right now. This is great stuff. Can we go 2 for 2? It wasn't just luck, right? Oh my gosh. See, like, if I had this as a kid, maybe the novelty would have worn off by now. Anyway, that's it. That's what the set does, and it does it so well and so perfectly every time. It just blows my mind. But it has perhaps what is the best sticker ever introduced in LEGO, and that is Danger Flying Monsters, because it's chucking these things around, which is just fantastic. You'll notice here that the idea is that you're tossing the monster into this water-filled tank. So it says warning, hot water. So you're trying to extinguish the monster. But all this mechanism is activated, as you probably saw, by pulling this in the back. And you can see, like, all of this is exposed in the front. We have these flexible bits here, which pull it in. And then once those are pulled in all the way, it lifts it up, and then the arms fall out. I believe Mark Stafford designed this. I don't know if he came up with this mechanism exclusively, but no matter, whoever did and whoever helped him, or if anyone helped him, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And I just cannot believe that it works every time. So the grabber elements too are some really obscure bionicle shoulder pieces, right? In fact, this blue element only showed up in one bionicle figure in a different color. The blue is exclusive to this set, so the fact that he even knew these existed is insane, and it works great. It actually grabs the monster. Because there's been a lot of attempts throughout the Power Miners theme to create some sort of monster grabbing mechanism, and they usually, they don't work that well. But this grabs it every time, holds it tightly, and then releases it at the perfect time. It's incredible. I totally forgot to mention our minifigure here is Dr. Brains. He also gets one of those nice armor plates, so his cockpit's pretty cozy here, using these tail pieces here, which I am most familiar with from Mars Mission for the alien stuff. The only other things of note, perhaps, are these crates on the side, which feature a number of accessories, a lot of accessories actually. So we have, of course, our familiar stick of dynamite, a shovel, binoculars, we got a pickaxe on the other side, a frying pan, and a hot dog too, which is really funny and great. I'm glad this theme actually addresses those needs of the Power Miners. We got the banana with Crystal Sweeper in the first wave, and we're about to get the coolest food/hydration mechanism in the entirety of Power Miners in the next set. But before we get there, I just want to say, very few sets have given me as much joy as this thing has. One of the greatest play features of all time. Certainly the greatest play feature in all of Power Miners, rivaled only by the aesthetic beauty of Thunder Driller, perhaps. Pick this thing up. It is cheap to find used. Even if you can't get maybe the rock monster with it or whatever the situation is, you will enjoy playing with this. I don't care how old you are. Anyway, only one more set to look at. That was something special too. And this here is the flagship set of the wave, 8191 Lavatraz. And it comes in sitting at a relatively comfortable price point of $49.99. Again, something that Power Miners did pretty dang well throughout its entire life. Besides, the second wave got a little crazy. Recall that first wave of Power Miners sets, almost everything was under $30 except one set. And for the most part, these remain pretty modestly priced too. Even though this thing only has 381 pieces, it definitely feels like a $50 set. However, this one becomes a little more expensive if you want to pick it up nowadays. A new one's well over $100, and a used one is about $60. So basically, this is the only set that you'll pick up used for a higher price than you would have paid retail, at least for this last wave of Power Miner sets. I know some of the other ones are a little harder to get, but you might as well get them now because they're only going to get rare. Because realistically, this was released in 2010. It's not all that old of a theme. We got 4 figures. This time we get Doc and Duke in the new getup. Both figures' faces we've seen before. I've said it's too many times already, but they look great. This is the other set that comes with Fire Axe. Again, probably my favorite looking of the mini lava monsters. The color scheme is just perfect. You can't go wrong with that. And then we have Eruptor. who in my opinion is the best Lego Big Fig ever made. This thing is incredible. So I came across these concepts, early work in progress of the design work on this thing, and it's really cool how the designers used clay and paint upon the original Big Fig Rock Monster mold to eventually come up with this. And the final result is both terrifying and comical and just perfect in every way. Everything about this is so specialized. Transparent body, transparent arms, and we got those lovely teeth and then the lava dripping out. All this paintwork. And in the back is this actually really interesting piece. This is a piece that's made out of softer plastic, and there's 3 of them that you insert into his back. Very much exclusive to this set. And then you'll see that there are 6 common tooth pieces done in orange for his head as well. It's just amazing shaping on this guy. He still features the arm, and I don't know, it's just always been squeaky. Really fantastic figure. And what I believe is a worthy final boss, because realize this is what Power Miners went out on. This is our last impression of Power Miners. As far as the villain goes, they nailed it, especially for a $50 set. And there are lots of other fun things going on here. We get a vehicle. It's pretty similar, honestly, to the first set that we looked at. This even has the designation of vehicle number 16. This one's different, though, because it has a scoop in the front for scooping up rock monsters. And that whole thing lifts up to reveal a small little seat for one of our Power Miners. Yeah, it's perfectly fine vehicles. Oh, it does have an extra set of wheels on it, too, which makes it a little different. I think this one looks better. There are definitely some things I like more about this one than I like about this. But both are, at the end of the day, are pretty bare bones. And definitely not the highlight of the set. There's a side build here as well that's pretty simplistic. So it features one of the orb launchers from Bionicle. All you do is squeeze the sides here to launch that off. It, of course, can rotate around. The idea is that it can clip pretty easily onto the main build as well. You've got this rack here, which you can easily remove, and that just holds more of the water orbs. It's like water balloons that you chuck at rock monsters. Pretty cool stuff. And then the base itself. Obviously, the standout here is the cage. And the idea is that you would put Eruptor in said cage. And that's easier said than done. This is not a great crane. This is about the extent of its reach. And so the grabbing mechanism actually uses those rubber Technic pieces, which you're probably familiar with. They come in all sorts of sets. And grabbing Eruptor is very much a manual process, and it's not going to look good, so I'm not even going to attempt it. This flimsy mechanism by no means can hold the weight of Eruptor. You cannot get maybe. No, there's no way. There's just no way, unfortunately. So this is a bit of an oof. I like the composition. The layout here looks really cool and impressive, but it doesn't work great. Just use your imagination. You'll get over it. When you have Eruptor in this spindly looking cage, and he's made out of molten rock, I wouldn't feel too secure about him being there. And of course, you'll see this big red actuator, which means you can just blast. Ooh, that actually worked pretty good. It's very easy for him to break out. And it's super easy to bend these out of the way too. Best part of this, oh, there's another part that can blow up. Let's see if this one does just as well. It did not sound good, but it looked cool. Oh yeah, there's 2 crystals under there that it exposes to. Again, another phenomenal play feature that my brother and I were just obsessed with as kids. There is a functional vending machine. And just like in the Lego movie where you pay $100 for a cup of coffee, you're gonna pay $100 for your nice canned beverage. So it's even got this advertisement on here that says cool drinks. It's fantastic. So you push this in and out it spits this beverage. So easy enough to reset. Just a simple mechanism done well. And I just love cool drinks, you know, in this underground hellscape. You got your vending machine. Lego humor is absolutely delightful. overall, I think this makes for a very complete playset. You got your vehicles, you got a very clear story to tell here, and you have some of the coolest minifigures that LEGO has ever produced. And if this is the last taste that I get of sweet, sweet Power Miners, I consider this a win. So yes, that is it. That is the last wave of Power Miner sets. And there's a lot to love here. Primarily, the lava monsters are done so well. The new suits for the Power Miners are fantastic. There's a lot of fun play features that live up to the very high standards set by the first two waves of Power Miner sets. I don't think this was the perfect way for Power Miners to end, but it's certainly better than, say, Exoforce. That one hurt. We'll get to Exoforce one day, I promise. I think if you want an end a theme proper, you need a final boss. And talk about a worthy final boss. Eruptor is the coolest big fig they've ever released. I love this dude so much. He is so cool. Everything about him is completely unique. I would have loved to have seen a red one and a yellow one. And I would have loved to have seen like a Crystal King sized lava monster in a subsequent wave, but that never happened. And that's just the way it goes sometimes. So many themes were cut before their prime, but I think what we got here lived up to enough expectations. The color scheme doesn't work for me, and if Power Miners had been introduced as this first when the theme started, maybe I would like this more. I really don't believe that. There's something about that lime green and orange. It's so weird, and it works so well. I get what they're trying to do with the blue and the water and all this and that, but I feel like you could have just attached blue tanks on top of the regular color scheme and pull it off pretty well. The good news is that you can get a lot of these pretty cheap, you know. This guy is like $15 used on Bricklink. That's fantastic. $10 for that, you're probably gonna have a little bit more problems getting a Eruptor. I'll be totally honest with you, he's worth shelling out some big bucks for. That's a beautiful LEGO creation right there. So I'll leave you with one question because I'm genuinely quite curious to see how people might answer this. What would you have liked to have seen from the Power Miners wave next? For me, it's definitely more big figs like him in other colors, and the king of the lava monsters, Crystal King lava version. Lava King? No, that's super lame. Crystal King was, because that's the alliteration, that's what it is. Well, like, what vehicles would you have liked to have seen from this style? What would have come next in your mind? But anyway, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. If you haven't seen it already, I've done a complete retrospective on all the first wave of Power Miners sets as well. And hopefully one day I'll pick up all the sets from wave 2. I love Power Miners. All of the waves are fantastic. It is still my favorite in-house theme and probably just my favorite LEGO theme in general. I have so many good memories attached to this, and the designers did a fantastic job. That's all for this time. Have a great life. See you later.